live everywhere. Awesome. All right. We're talking today about the power of a burning desire. The power of a burning desire. Let me just check. Why is Wi-Fi? Let me switch over. Good morning. All right, we are, I think, on a better Wi-Fi signal here. There we go. Beautiful. So we're talking today about the power of a burning desire. And I want to know if you're excited for this topic, because this is one of the things that when I think about one of the biggest keys to success in sales and life, it is having a burning desire, right? It is having a burning desire. And I want you to, here's what I would invite you to think about is, was there ever a time in your life where maybe you set a sales goal or a revenue goal for yourself or a life goal, right? And it didn't happen. And when I think about times in my own life when that happened, and there have been plenty of them, right? Because I used to really set goals based more on ego and based on what I thought would create validation. The things were not a must. There wasn't a burning desire for them. Sahar, good morning. So good to see you. By the way, if you're joining on Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, pop me a comment so I can see that you're here. I love making these interactive with you. But when it's not a must, right? When there's not a burning desire for something, you're not summoning the powers, the universal powers, right? That are here to help you. So Gail, you're saying, like, you get this, right? You've been there. I've totally been there. And so we talked, I think it was, oh my gosh, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, about even in your sales process, like helping your clients create that place of burning desire and only closing for the sale, only asking for the sale from that place where it is a must for your customers, where they've already said, this is a must, and here is why. Because when something is a must for us, we will move heaven and earth in order to do it. And there's so many stories of that in my own life. There's so many stories of that in my clients' lives. I think about so many women in some of our programs where it's like, it was a must for them to be there. And the money wasn't easy for them to come by. It's not like they had, an extra, whatever, $5,000, $10,000 sitting around. But because it was a must for them to create transformation in the area of wealth, prosperity, in their business and their life, they found the money. They found a way to make it happen. And even, even in my own life, there's more examples than ever that I could even share in this time together of that. So here's what I actually want to do with you today. So we haven't been doing a lot of just direct reading from the book, but there's a story in here that I think is going to be really useful for us to go through together. So it's a couple pages. So if you have missed story time with Elise in the mornings, we're going to do that today. Kalua, good morning. Oh my gosh, I love you. It's so good to see you. So good to see you. So I want to read to you, if you're joining for the first time, we're doing a Think and Grow Rich book study today. And I want to read to you this story about Edwin Barnes. It's a couple pages, so kind of just, settle in. And there's so many lessons in here from this story that you can apply to how to create that burning desire for what you want. Because when it's just lukewarm, when it's wishy-washy, the likelihood of you creating that goal and achieving that goal is super slim. But when it's a burning desire, when it's a must for you, it happens. And there's forces that come to your aid, universal forces that come to your aid to help you in the creation of your desire as well. But it's only from that place of it being a burning desire. Jen, good morning. Oh my gosh, I know I get to spend time with you this morning. I'm so excited to see you. So this is a beautiful way to kick off the day having you here. So, all right, so here's your story. So Edwin Barnes discovered how true it is that individuals really do think and grow rich. His discovery did not come about at one sitting. It came little by little, beginning with a burning desire to become a business associate of the great Thomas Alva Edison. So Thomas Edison. One of the chief characteristics of Barnes' desire was that it was definite. So here's what I want you to listen to. It was a definite desire, and he was very clear on the desire as well. He wanted to work with Edison, not for him. So this is so important. You have to be so specific with what you want, but usually We create what we want based on what we think is possible. And so I want you to really remove the lid from what you think is possible. And I want you to start thinking about just what do you want? What do you want? If there were no consequences or limitations, what do you want? Jan, good morning. Great to see you. And so it says his desire was definite. Observe carefully the description of how he went about translating his desire into reality, and you'll have a better understanding of the 13 steps which lead to riches. When this desire or impulse of thought first flashed into Barnes' mind, he was in no position to act upon it. Two difficulties stood in his way. We talked yesterday about when something comes into your mind, like you can trust that is for you, that's for your expansion, that spirit moving through you. And so this desire flashed into his mind, but he's like, I don't have a way of making this happen. Number one, he didn't know Mr. Edison. And number two, he didn't have enough money to pay his railroad fare to Orange, New Jersey, where Mr. Edison's laboratories were located. These difficulties were sufficient to have discouraged the majority of people from making any attempt to carry out the desire. But this was no ordinary desire. So listen in. He was so determined to find a way to carry out his desire that he finally decided to travel by blind baggage rather than be defeated. In other words, he went to East Orange on a freight train. And so here's what I want you to notice is with that thing that's a desire for you, with the thing that is the desire, are you throwing it out and are you discrediting it because you're looking at the reasons why it's not possible and saying, well, maybe that means it's not for me, right? And that's how most people think because they don't truly believe that they can have what they want. But I'm here to tell you, everything in your life you've created. And it's because you've given it consistent attention and thought. So you can literally have what you want. But it's just most of us don't understand. Most people don't understand that they create whatever they focus on and think about again and again. So when there's that thing that you want, right, whether it's a certain type of business, a certain amount of money, a certain type of opportunity, when it's something that's really for you, which when I think about that, it's like it's something that's really going to stretch you and grow you, because that's the only purpose of why we set and achieve goals in the first place is who we become in the process. You're going to have immediately obstacles that you're up against. Right? Who's been there? Like, give me a yes or give me a heart. Let me know if you've been there. But the key is you have to know, you have to start looking at those obstacles as tiny compared to who you are, because there is always, always, always a way to achieve what you want when you make it a must for you, when it is that burning desire. Thank you so much for the hearts. So he says, or the book says, he presented himself at Mr. Edison's laboratory and announced he had come to go into business with the inventor. Wow, that was weird pronunciation. Inventor. Years later, in speaking of the first meeting between Barnes and Edison, Mr. Edison said, he stood there before me looking like an ordinary tramp. But there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after. He was determined to get what he had come after. I had learned from years of experience with men/women that when a man really desires a thing so deeply that he's willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win. We talked about that yesterday, right? Would you stake your future on your idea, on your goal, on your vision? Gail, you're saying yes, absolutely, absolutely. And so Edison said, I gave him the opportunity he asked for because I saw he had made up his mind to stand by until he succeeded. So I want you to just tune in. So there is something to the energy of certainty with what you're creating, where when it shifts from it would be nice to have to no, I require this, right? I demand this. This is happening. You feel it in your body, right? Have you had that experience where suddenly it's like you feel it in your body and it shifts and you know without a shadow of a doubt, it's like, I know that I know that I know that this is happening. And I don't know how, I don't care how, but it is happening. I am certain of it. And that's how you create powerfully. And that's actually like, that's when you're in your real power and you're like, boom, this is happening. You have that energy, you have that potential in you at all times. It's just, you don't often see yourself as someone who can do that, who can snap her fingers or his fingers and say, this is happening and done, right? It's done. But that is how you create what you want. And that's how someone who looks like, I mean, this book uses the word, you look like a tramp, right? But like someone who didn't look the part was able to come to this really successful, he's one of the most successful business people of his time, and say, I'm going to work with you. Like, I am here and I'm not going until you say yes. So it says, just what young Barnes said to Mr. Edison on that occasion was far less important than that which he thought. Edison himself said so. It couldn't have been the young man's appearance which got him his start in the Edison office, for that was definitely against him. It was what he thought that counted. And thought in the book is all capitalized. So and here's what's great about it. It says, if the significance of this statement could be conveyed to the person who reads it, there would be no need for the remainder of this book. Okay. So are you getting that? It had nothing to do. It has nothing to do with how you look. It has nothing to do with, I mean, it has a little to do with what you say, right? Our communication is important, but it's what are you thinking? So for the goal that you're going after, are you thinking thoughts that are in alignment with that goal already being achieved? Is that happening for you? Or are you thinking thoughts of why it can't happen? Are you mired in self-doubt? And I also, we talked about this in the 10K Club group call last week, that like there's some stuff going on energetically right now where things like old doubts and old patterns and old conditionings are actually coming up right now to be healed. So if you've noticed, I don't know if anybody's noticed that at all for them, like maybe more doubtful thoughts than usual, more fearful thoughts than usual. Energetically, it's coming, like your old limiting thought patterns and self-doubt is coming up, so it can literally be cleared for you before we go into the new year. Okay. So just know, like, that is, if that's happening, because that I noticed that was happening for me some last week too. And it was like, where is this coming from? This hasn't showed up in a long time. So and then you process it and you clear it, right? So it's not to say that you can't have a negative thought with this. But it is to say that your thoughts matter a lot. A lot, a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Your thoughts are the most important thing. And so here's another thing when it comes to persistence. So listen to the rest of this. It says, Barnes did not get his partnership with Edison on his first interview. He did get a chance to work in the Edison offices at a very nominal wage, doing work that was unimportant to Edison, but most important to Barnes because it gave him an opportunity to display his merchandise where his intended partner could see it. Jen, you're saying, can you remind me to talk about this today? 100%. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. So I want you to think about, like, when the opportunity comes for what you want, it may look different at the beginning. It may be less than what you thought it. Wow, is that thought and wanted to combine? It may be less than what you wanted. Or what you thought it was going to be, but you'll know it's like there's some sort of forward movement on the thing, right? Are we getting this? Is this making sense? And good morning to everyone who's joining live right now too. So good to have you. We're doing a Think and Grow Rich book study together if you're joining for the first time. And listen to this. So months went by. Like, this dude, stakes everything. He spends his money to get on this train, go up and work with this guy, gets this very nominal, very menial job working for him, not with him. And he wanted with him, remember, but it's not what happened at first. And then months go by and it's like nothing feels like it's happening. So you have to know that when it feels like nothing is happening in your life, it's not actually what's true. There is, just like in nature, right? When we plant a seed, there is a period in which it is growing before it actually comes to fruition, right? Before the plant comes out. Leonard, good morning. Rafat, oh my gosh, I was thinking about you yesterday. I love seeing you here. Good morning. And so it says, so months go by. Apparently nothing happened to bring the coveted goal, which Barnes had set up in his mind as his definite major purpose. But something important was happening in Barnes's mind. He was constantly intensifying his desire to become the business associate of Edison. So I think we're actually going to, well, let me read one more little bit and then we'll talk and then we'll wrap for today. Psychologists have correctly suggested that when one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in its appearance. So when you're ready for it, right? We talked about this last week, and this was actually I think this was in the Monday Sales Supercharge newsletter, which you get if you're on my email list. Like, how to be ready for what you want. You have to be ready for what you want. And it says Barnes was ready for a business association with Edison. Moreover, he was determined to remain ready until he got that which he was seeking. Okay, my friends. So we're going to pause there for today. And also, like, let me know if you like more reading slash just me talking about it. That was more reading than we've done in a while. But I wanted you to hear that story to just to really get some context for what does that burning desire really look like. Here's what I would love to know if you're here live. What is your biggest takeaway? Like, let me know in the comments. What is your biggest takeaway from that story that you're going to apply to what you are available for or unavailable for in your life, and to how you set goals? Because like the one piece to me that really stood out was like the intensifying desire to the point where it's a must, and there's a period before the thing that you're going for. Like, so before maybe you've got a next level revenue goal, right? Like maybe you want to 10x your revenue, or maybe you want to launch a new business or whatever. I don't care what it is, but whatever it is, there's a period where you've got the desire and it hasn't happened yet in your world, because that's just like we said, every seed has a gestation period. It's the law of gender. There's a time, right? Where it's like the baby's got to grow in the womb, the seed's got to grow in the soil. It's the same with your ideas. It's the same with your goals. It's the exact same. But what are you doing during that time? And are you ripping the seed out of the ground because you're like, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, it's not here yet? And remember that whatever you say to yourself repeatedly and whatever you focus on, because you're a powerful creator, whatever you focus your energy on, you will create in your life. So if you say, it's not here yet, it's not here yet, why is it not here yet? And your vibration, your emotion is one of anxiety, of fear, of worry, well, it can't come. It's just like a seed couldn't grow if you put it in the ground and then ripped it up, like started digging the next day or the next week, because you're like, where is it? It's not here yet. It's not here yet. Or are you watering that idea? Are you watering that goal, that vision with desire, right? With desire, with faith, with certainty, because you understand. This is why I love diving into universal laws with my clients, because they've been so transformational in my own life, just to understand how things really work. You understand the law of transmutation of energy, that everything starts here in your mind. And it's the way that you bring it into physical reality is by thinking thoughts that are in alignment with it already being done, and feeling emotions of gratitude and joy and expansion and ease and whatever else those emotions are, as if it's already been done as well. That's how you water it. That's how you bring it into form, and then taking the aligned action along the way. Jason, good morning. Kalu is saying, I teeter between intensifying the desire and squeezing it. So and I so appreciate you saying that, right? And being honest with that. Just notice, right? If you're, when you're getting into the energy of squeezing it, because that's from like the fear of, is it not going to happen, right? And that stems from a lot of personal, like not enoughness. So that's a beautiful time to kind of take a step back. Right? It's like if you were about to go rip out that plant, and you really wanted it to grow, what would you do? You'd walk away, you'd step away, you'd say, I trust, I see how things work in the natural world. I know you as a mom, right? You know this, there's a lot going on behind the scenes for that baby to be born before you do any pushing or doing anything. That's actually how we are meant to create. That's how things work in the natural world. When we squeeze, when we force, when we push, that's as you know, that's kind of how we squelch it, right? And it's okay, because there's opportunity after opportunity after opportunity for you to create what you want. But just that awareness, like, because you know it, you're not really going to squeeze it anymore. Like, I know that about you. You're that's an old pattern that I don't think you're going to be repeating either. So that's it. So it's really about intensifying your desire, right? And falling in love with your idea and saying, what can I do right now in this moment to move one step closer to this goal, right? And even, I've shared on social this past week, like we're moving at the end of the week. And I just had a sense that we were meant to move this month. We didn't have a place. We didn't have anything lined up yet, but that started happening a couple months ago. And I was like, I really trust that like, this is the time for us to move. And so I just took steps towards it. I didn't know where we were going to be. I didn't know the living situation, but like I would go out and buy moving boxes and start like getting some things in moving boxes. Would, look at different places in the areas we were looking to move. And so that's that. And then sure enough, when things click, they click and they happen fast. And that's exactly how it happens when you're creating powerfully. Patty, oh my gosh, good morning. It's so good to see you. But that's how it works. So what is that forward action you can take today to intensify your desire, to create more of that more of that burning desire, and give it more life. So what action can you take? Can you journal about it and meditate on what it's going to be like to be there? Can you, can you like take a walk and just think about, like, sometimes this may sound weird, I'll walk and I'll like speak out loud what my life is like that I desire. It's like, I'm so happy and grateful that this happened, this happened, this is happening, this is happening. And it's a lot of it is stuff that hasn't happened yet, but it's what Tony Robbins actually calls incantation, where it's like you actually step into that energy now of the thing being done. And it's fun. It's fun when we move the goal from the completion of the thing, because that is a natural byproduct of you taking these steps, and we shift the goal to feeling good in the process and enjoying it and enjoying the feeling of that burning desire coming up, then all of this kind of sorts itself out, and becomes far easier as well. So I hope that this was useful and helpful to you today. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. Got a meeting at the top of the hour, but I want to wish each of you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful day. I do want to let you know, I've got space for 1 or 2 private half-day intensives at the end of September. So if that's something that you're interested in, send me a DM. I'm happy to send you the application form as well. And if you're just looking to like really map out your next level game plan for Q4 and going into 2022, and you want to massively skyrocket your sales, your success, your abundance, your happiness, I would love to help support you in that process. So, all right, my loves, have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday. So good to spend time with you today. And I will see you tomorrow morning at 8:30 Eastern. Bye for now.